bet.
What's Your Position podcast is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. On part 3 of this afternoon delight, we're talking to people about their birth control experiences. Do you guys want to hear a joke?
Of course.
What kind of tree doesn't need to worry about birth control?
Wait, nope, I got this.
Wait.
What kind of tree
A willow?
doesn't
No.
need to worry about birth control?
A birch? No.
No, shh, quiet,
A redwood?
quiet.
3, 2,
Fir tree. I don't know.
a rubber tree.
Oh, God.
And now, with love from Huntington Beach, your host, Ashley Weller.
Oh man,
The jokes have been great for this afternoon delight. You're welcome.
Yeah.
really.
Firing.
Welcome, fellow humans, to the hour of dad jokes with Mia. Congratulations.
We'll do like an extended, like a minute, whatever, a little small release of just really bad jokes for Christmas.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. I have a rubber tree downstairs, actually.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no. That was a good one. This is part 3 of your afternoon delight. Afternoon delight.
We're gonna make a song.
Afternoon delight. We're talking about birth control. We talked about non-hormonal methods, including condoms, spermicides, sponges, diaphragms, cervical caps. We talked about vasectomies. We talked about tubal ligations. We talked about the rhythm method and the family planning method, using your cervical mucus and also your ovulation schedule to plan around when you have sex. And then we talked about hormonal methods, the pill, the patch, the ring, the shot. Most commonly used method of birth control is hormonal birth control, hormonal pill. Been around since the FDA approved in the 60s, fully FDA approved for all human beings that need it in the 70s, and is the most widely prescribed and non-prescribed form of birth control. Pretty effective. The shot, really effective. Hormonal IUDs actually are the most effective, even more than a vasectomy and a tubal ligation.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
weird.
How does that? I don't
How?
understand how that.
Yeah, I don't know. That
It's
doesn't add up to me,
interesting.
right?
I know, it's interesting. So with the IUDs, you have a 1 in 200 chance of getting pregnant, but with tubal ligations and with vasectomies, the common statistic is 1 in 100 chance of getting pregnant.
That's so weird,
That
is
feels
it?
kind of high.
Because does
That's
somehow it...
99% effective, right? It's 99% effective.
Right.
99. Yeah.
But like, does that mean if you have sex 100 times, you're gonna get pregnant one of those
I
times?
mean, technically,
odds
yes.
are you could get pregnant. one
Technically,
of those
you would get
times.
pregnant one time.
no.
You have you have one chance,
Right.
of getting pregnant.
So
in that
technically, yes.
100
Statistically,
times.
you
you
should
might get pregnant.
on one of those. Just
Might.
the one. Might.
Might.
So, and then barrier methods like the condom, they are widely used, yet not used correctly. And that's
How's your polo
my
game?
friends, where we fall into this huge range of effectiveness where a condom is technically 98% effective
Yeah.
when used consistently and correctly. We talk about correctly in the episode. Go back and listen to it if you want to. But when it's not used correctly, like, it can go down to 0, I mean, obviously, if you're not
Yeah.
using it fucking correctly. But on typical average of a male condom is 88% effective.
Dude, it's like now
That's
going
also
into the
low.
future, it's like you got to have pull-out game, you got to be on the pill, and you've got to use a
You gotta
condom
trip.
to put it all together because things are
Yeah.
not great.
Triple, double tap.
Yeah.
Double tap. Triple tap.
Triple tap.
If you know Zombieland, you know triple tap. So we
Double tap.
I know. Now you know triple tap. We wanted to talk to individuals about their experience with birth control, because everyone has, different things that affect them. We talked about how there's a lot of myth, a lot of scare tactics surrounding some types of birth control. There's a lot of shame and guilt surrounding other types. Everyone has their own experience, and sometimes you just kind of hear the majority of what everyone says, and you want a friend to tell you their experience. So we don't have your friend. Well, we might, depending on who you are.
Right.
I have my friends, and when this show started, it was all about us and our stories and my friends and my family's stories. And so we're kind of going back old school, and we are really talking to friends and family. It's funny. I sent this out. I said to the WI peeps, we have, and I'm not even saying this to be a dick, we have over 20,000 followers on Instagram. What that means, who knows? Who knows who
That
they
should
are?
be celebrated. Yes.
Who knows? But when I sent this out, I said, do you want to send me your experiences with birth control? The only people who reached out were my closest friends and families, and most of these individuals have actually been on What's Your Position before.
Yeah.
Or they are super close friends. So that's where this podcast started, was from this deep root of let's talk to our friends about these issues. And in the times that we're in right now,
Yeah.
it is important to have a community of people that you can get good information from. And I
Right.
think that experience and like anecdotal information is super influential in an individual's decision to start a birth control or change a diet that they're doing or choose an exercise routine or choose a form of therapy or the type of birth control, like that, what we're talking about, or like how to breastfeed your kid. Like we are a community, and we typically go to the people who are doing these things. So let's talk to our community, the WI peeps, like we used to do. So we're going to start it right here in this room, and then we're going to do something that I have never done before. So if it sucks, sorry.
It's gonna be great. No, it's gonna be great.
I'm going to play it straight from my phone, and we're going to talk about it. So just, that little 15-second fast forward. If it sucks, if it's dead, just hit this 15-second. Just go forward. Just move, carry on, my wayward son.
We will see how it goes.
Yeah.
We're testing it out.
I'm excited. All right. So let's talk about our experiences with birth control, just like inception to what current day looks like for you. You, my friend, have a dick and
Yeah, I do.
have not used very many, so I'm going to make you go first.
So you just want me to, from like the very first time?
Exactly what I said. Read the syllabus.
I didn't read it. What is it? Just, are you talking about my
Your
like
personal experience with birth control.
So like when I was 15, my first girlfriend, she was put on birth control as soon as her sister-in-law knew that we were
Okay. Smart.
right.
Smart.
So we got tested. She made us go to the local clinic in Huntington Beach, made us get condoms until, I think it's 30 days, right?
Yes.
As a pill. So that was probably like
You
my first.
astonish me with your man knowledge sometimes.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God.
30 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my first. And then
So
obviously
your first
before that
experiences was the woman doing it for you.
No. Well, the first one was obviously condoms.
Okay, there it is.
That was my first,
Yeah, sure.
friends, family, community, like, hey, wear a condom. But that was the first time I knew that you can go to a clinic and go and get condoms for free. At least the one that's in Huntington Beach. It's
Yeah.
free. You can just go in and
It's
they'll give
still
you
there.
little.
It's on Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go get a baggie of condoms. And,
Even.
yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so you've had an extensive knowledge of birth control since you were 15 years old. You know it's important in preventing pregnancy. Did you ever want kids?
No.
Okay, so
When I met you and we started dating, you're like, I don't want to have kids. And I was like, wait, that's an option? Like, wait, what?
people do that.
Like, we don't have to have kids? And
So how did we? So how did you have birth control this whole time that you and I were together?
your birth control.
Right, perfect. And the reason you haven't gotten a vasectomy?
I don't know. I don't like needles. I don't like. Kind of makes me like.
Actually, I'm not putting him on the hook. I don't want a period, so he's off the hook. So that's fine.
I know. I was gonna say. I was like, you like to take or you like birth control because it gives you some very
It does. We'll talk about that in just a second.
beneficial.
But your experience with birth control recently is just my birth control, right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Have you ever noticed any weird side effects with me in birth control?
No, you've always been lovely.
What were you going to say? What is going on right now?
Scared. Pause. You sound
What?
lovely.
Mia, what is your experience with birth control? I'm going to move on.
I was on the pill for a really long time.
How old?
God, I can't fucking remember. I'm trying to think. I think I was maybe a like a sophomore
Okay.
in high school.
That tracks.
And I was like, oh, my period's really irregular. I want to get on birth control. And also, like, I knew that there was a really good chance that I would be having sex soon. So I kind of wanted to, like, prepare myself because there was no way I was going to get fucking pregnant. And I remember my mom was telling me this story about she knew this one girl in high school who was a part of a very religious family and was going to do, like, the whole waiting till marriage thing. And she ended up like having a sex in high school.
Having
her
a
first
sex.
having a sex.
Having a sex.
Having a
You're
sex.
having a sex with me.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
I was gonna. My brain is not working. Oh my god. Yeah.
Having a
She was
sex.
having a sex. You know, a sex. Just not any other.
Can I pull you for a sex?
Would you like to come over tonight for a sex?
It's the Italian
Dinner and a sex.
It's like the Italian and the Borat at the same
Hey,
time.
Pasta is on my mind tonight. We were talking about this earlier.
Netflix and chill. Pasta and a sex.
Pasta and a sex.
Oh my god. I'm
Oh my
gay.
god.
Sorry, Mia. Go
Crying
on.
right now.
I hope everybody at home listening is crying with us.
Oh.
Tears. Okay.
So
All right.
she was
Everyone
having a sex.
Have some water and we're gonna, even the listener, check how much water you've had today. You probably deserve some, you thirsty bitch. Let's go.
So
All right.
she was having a sex. And it was her first time and she got pregnant.
Damn.
Damn.
Yeah.
I
Not
think
even
that's-
one chance.
that
Dude,
is
how many
not where
people
I
have in
thought
their
that
life have
first
had?
time.
I swear to God, I've
That's
heard that.
why I was so traumatized
Yeah.
and scared that was going to happen to me that I was
God.
like, no, that's not happening. And I'm getting on birth control before
Yeah.
I even have sex for the first time.
Right.
So
Oh, that's terrible.
by the time I lost my virginity, I had already been on birth control.
Yeah.
And I've been on it since. So I was on the
Yeah.
pill for the longest time. And then I recently-
Prevention is what she said. That's what she said.
I'm not going to, no, absolutely not.
Not gonna have a sex.
No.
Not gonna.
Not going to have a sex. Not even a once.
Holy shit.
Oh.
All right, so what are you on now?
Oh yeah. So I switched my birth control because it was really frustrating. I was on this one brand for a while, and then something happened with the brand, and they like switched me over to a different one just automatically. I was on like Sprintech, I think it was.
Dude, I think the way that you said that happened was like
Right.
super fucked up. Your
It was- it was
you went
so
to your
random.
doctor to do a refill, and then
Yeah, they
just,
were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, your birth control's been switched." And I was like, "What do you mean it's been switched?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "It's just like a different brand. Like it's the same medication, but it's a different company."
dude,
And
I
was
bet
like,
you I
"Okay."
know what happened. Do you know?
And I looked it up. It is not the same medication. They're different active ingredients. Like I mean, they have like, they both have estradiol, but they don't have the same.
You know,
one.
doctors get kickbacks and
Anyway.
they make money for like
Totally.
the type.
I think that's definitely.
So
what
the
it was.
doctor is probably like, "Oh, I get more money if I prescribe this medication over that medication,"
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
"Cool."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool,
that's what
this is gonna
pharmaceutical
affect
sales
me
reps
deeply.
do.
Yeah.
Right. No, because
This
after
isn't everything that I am made of,
After I
including my
switched-
being, self, and personality. No.
yeah, after I switched
Fine.
to that new medication, not by my choice, my period started being like really like not irregular. It was like I was having longer periods and then
Oh.
spotting more frequently. So I was like, that's really frustrating. And then it just got to a point where I was like having a month-long period, and then I was like not
Dude,
having
that's
it.
rough.
So then I switched. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get on something that's not a pill because I'm over it. So I got the implant. I have the Nexplanon implant.
Yeah.
I've had it for a year now, I think, year and a half ish. And it was very frustrating for the first half of it, I will say. For the first like 6 to 8 months, I was getting longer periods and then like weird kind of in between spotting.
Dude, that sucks because you're like, okay,
yeah.
found a
Right,
like
right.
a
Long-term
antidote,
solution.
and
I
now
had-
it's like not so much.
And then I had talked to a couple of people who had also gotten it. And I specifically remember talking to one friend, and she was like, no, it took me like pretty much a full year before it stabilized. But now that I've had it for a while, and it's great, and I would never go back. And I was like, okay.
Wait,
maybe I
how
just
long
need to
does
wait for
how long does it last?
It lasts for 3 years. And then I think the next one I get can last for 5. But it's not bad. It's like, because I've always been scared about getting an IUD. We can talk about that later. But I got this one. Finally, it's stabilized, and it's like I'm really liking it. It's more like a full 2 months, no bleeding, and then I'll have like spotting for 3 days, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever.
Yeah.
It's funny. I can feel it in my arm.
I know
I play with it a
right
lot.
now. You're playing with it right now.
But yeah, that's been interesting. I'm nervous about getting an IUD because I've just heard some bad stories from other people.
Like
but
from Ashley.
well, no, about like side effects that people have gotten from it. Like another friend that my mom knew, it like fused to the inside of her body. But it's like that's not going to happen to everyone. That is a very minuscule, small chance of like that happening to you. But
Yeah.
it just always freaked me out because I'm prone to side effects and stuff like that, and it just makes me nervous.
We're gonna play a listener, one of my friends actually, who sent us a recording about her experience with birth control, including IUDs and side effects. So here we go. Oh, I hope this works.
My experience with birth control is that I initially got onto birth control as a virgin, and I was not expecting to have sex at that time, but my periods were awful. They were a week long, and I had really intense cramps that were pretty much debilitating. So I had heard that birth control could help that, and it definitely did. So I remained on birth control until I decided to have kids, which was, I was 16 when I got on birth control and got off birth control in my early 30s, mid-30s. Yeah, so it was a long time. And I've tried all of them. I have been on the pill, which I would forget to take, so that was not a good option for me. I tried the ring, which was weird, and it would fall out during sex. I did the IUD. I think that was probably my favorite, the copper one, and it lasted a while. But towards the end, I started spotting a lot, so got off of that, and then I think that's when I started to have kids. So, yeah. Haven't been on birth control since, which is great, because my husband got snipped, which was the best decision ever. Anyway, I hope that is helpful, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, have a great day. Bye.
Cute.
Just sweet and adorable. As you can see, actual human friend who sent me a message today. Thank you so much. We love you so much, Laura. Appreciate you. And then she went on to say that when she decided to get off of birth control, it took her 2 months to get pregnant. Like it was the second try.
Damn.
Like,
Ding, ding, ding. Winner, chicken dinner.
she was in her mid-30s when that happened. And so she got on it as a virgin. She got on it because she, like us, wanted to prevent something that we thought was coming. I also wanted to play one more before I tell you about my story with birth control. The second guest ever on What's Your Position was my sister Cecily, who came on to talk about getting her tubes tied and making that decision to do so after not having children, and the struggle that she went through in getting it approved and getting the doctors to agree to do it. Was huge. It was one of the worst recordings ever because it was done on my phone.
Nice.
And I begged her to do a quick, and she did this on her break. So thank you, Taters. Let's listen.
My name is Cecily, and I am Ashley's sister. And I'm telling the story of how I got my tubal ligation sterilization surgery done, finally. It has taken me over 10 years to get this done. I can't believe it. Almost 20 years. It's pretty wild. So I started asking doctors for this when I was 20. I am now 37. I got it done when I was 33, maybe older than that. But every doctor I went to told me that I was too young to be making that decision. And
This
that
is
I
so
needed to
important,
consider
like
the
in right now.
feelings and thoughts of a potential future partner. which I thought
Yeah.
was
Think
frustrating
about
and asinine
the people
because
you might date
what
in the
I
future
wanted for
and
my
Right.
what they
body
want.
Hypothetical
in
people.
present day was not as important as what a potential future partner would have wanted for my body. So it took me a long time, and I finally got a doctor who listened to me and agreed to do the surgery. But the question that he asked me before he did it was, what would happen if you decided, or if you got pregnant, what would happen? And I said, I would have an abortion. And he said, I will do the surgery for you. So it was still
Whoa.
waiting on the belief system of a man. And it was about what he wanted because he works for a Christian organization who runs the doctor
Wow. Oh my
network up here,
God.
which I don't have any control over. So it's taken a long time coming, but I finally got the choice that I wanted for my body after a series of doctors have been telling me no, because what I want for me is not important enough.
Damn.
Ugh.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So Cecily never wanted kids. And that's my baby sister. I've known her since the moment she took her first breath. And I know that she doesn't want kids. And when she got the surgery finally, it was a joyous day because she also got diagnosed with something called PCOS. And she was able to get an IUD at the same time to help her with the hormones that help with endometriosis and PCOS. So it was really great for her to be able to have that surgery because otherwise we can't get that surgery because it's exploratory and it doesn't usually happen. To diagnose people with endometriosis, you have to see inside. And there are a lot of people who use birth control for reasons other than stopping pregnancy. A lot of people use
Right.
birth control because their periods are crazy bad. So I was 16 when I finally got my period. My mom, when I told her I got my period, I had my first, I think, one. I really don't remember having more than like the first one that was really scary and then the first one after the first one, like your first real period. And I remember being in a lot of pain and then I remember my mom taking me to the doctor and there wasn't much time in between and I was a virgin and I hadn't had sex and I vaguely remember the conversation being, something about I have heavy periods and I don't want her to have the same. And so the doctor agreed to put me on birth control. And that's really the only memory that I have is they were talking about my mom's experience, which seemed to be bad. And they didn't want me to have that same experience. And this is in 1995. So they put me on oral birth control and I was on it all the way up until I was 22 and I met you. And I didn't want to be on oral birth control anymore because I had really bad period cramps and migraines.
Yeah, your migraines were gnarly.
They took me out for 3 days, like 3 fucking days. I was
Like
down.
the window or the blinds had to be closed.
I was
no light,
vomiting.
no light, no artificial light, no actual light outside.
It was bad.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you can't live like that once a month.
No,
For
dude.
a couple days.
Right. It took me out. And so my doctor at the time was like, you should try this thing called the NuvaRing. And I was on NuvaRing for 15 years. That shit was my jam. I love the NuvaRing.
That's applause for that.
Yeah, dude. Unofficial sponsor. The ease with which you take it, you put one in for 4 weeks, you take it out at 4 weeks, you put another one in, you can skip your period, which we talked about in the hormonal episode. It is so easy. I got to know my body more. I got to know like what my inside of my body feels like. It makes you more comfortable with yourself. I loved the NuvaRing. But my friend who just sent us that message said she hated it. It fell out every time she had sex. There are people
Yeah, it does.
who
It's
have
like they don't make different sizes. We also
right.
talked about that.
We talked about how the diva
They don't make different sizes.
It's one
Why
size,
not?
right?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's anatomy is a little
Exactly.
different.
Everyone's anatomy is totally different.
They
so
should,
like something
they should
that
at least
feels,
make like a small, medium, large
I mean, like
or
it's
something.
what is so
Well,
it's a
like-
size 5.5 Cinderella shoe is what the NuvaRing
Right.
is because it fits my fucking vagina. But
Yeah.
5.5 Cinderella shoe, I'm not shoe twins with many people,
Yeah.
right? I can't be shoe twins with most individuals. I have to hog all of my
Well,
adorable shoes to myself.
Yeah,
when we
because I have
did
the
the-
tiniest foot ever.
when we did the last one, we talked about the fact that when we had sex, all of a sudden I'd like pull out after having sex, and
Yeah, you had.
it was on my dick.
It was like carnival. It was like a carnival prize.
Right.
Like see if you can lasso the new
crazy.
version.
But the crazy thing about
Yeah.
it is we would be having sex on the dark sometimes, right? And if you don't know that came out and you're doing it, having sex in bed, and
Yeah.
then say you're further down under the sheet, and then you go to sleep and you kick it down,
Yeah.
and it goes.
I lost it. He's actually
Yeah.
speaking from experience.
Yeah. But that's basically what I'm saying is be careful with it because it can come out, and you do need
You
to make
have
sure
to be responsible. So
it's in there.
not all birth control fits all walks of life
Yeah.
and lifestyle and comfortability with bodies. So the next step for me was an IUD because it was 2016 and there was an orange person living in the White House. I feel like it's deja vu.
Yeah.
And I decided I needed a birth control that outlasted the oligarchy
Yeah.
or the cult. And so I got an IUD, LOL, fast forward. So there's an orange man living in a White House, and I feel like I need to outlast the oligarchy, I
Yeah.
mean cult. And so I have an IUD, and it's going to outlast this human.
Yeah, that's the one thing that makes
It's
me nervous about
amazing.
the implant.
I know, right?
Is that it only lasts for like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So I will have to replace
Right.
mine
Yeah.
In this presidency.
2 years from now.
Yeah.
And that's
Right in the middle.
a little
Which
bit
is crazy. That's a
nervous.
little scary.
But
So-
honestly, like I don't know if I'm willing to get an IUD.
Okay, so my friend,
And yeah, that's your.
Yeah.
okay, so this next human being got an IUD after years of not being on birth control. And her experience with getting an IUD, I think, differs from almost every other experience of getting an IUD.
Making the decision to go back on birth control in my late 30s was an interesting one because I haven't actually been on birth control 15, 16 years, right? And when I was on birth control before, I think at that time there were a lot fewer options and it was kind of more straightforward to use just a daily birth control pill. I remember being, 21 years old and forgetting or, not remembering to take my pill. And so it was one of those things that when I was able to go off birth control, I remember feeling relief that I didn't have this daily thing that I had to be responsible for, especially at that age. But in my late 30s, there were some medical concerns that I had. My periods are fucking heinous. And so it was like, hey,
Same
birth
girl.
control could be really helpful. What are your options? The pill didn't really make a lot of sense for me with my medical concerns. And then also just, again, that daily reminder. And I was honestly hoping for something that could significantly alter my period symptoms, whether it's cramps, bleeding, what have you. As much as I like the movie The Shining, I'm not really looking to experience that. So we kind of came down to two options, and it was either the IUD or the arm implant. The arm implant felt invasive to me in a way, and it may seem stupid, but I just didn't want this thing in my arm next to my muscle where the recovery could keep me possibly out of the gym or, keep me away from weightlifting, which
I
at
don't
this
lift.
point in my
Wanna
life,
get
I do
jacked.
not lift.
self-care. And, I don't want to
She
have
loves
anything interrupt
CrossFit.
that if
She's
I can.
not going to tell you that. but
So it really did come down to the IUD. And I had my IUD in maybe a month ago. I was very worried about pain. I was very concerned about what that process was going to be like. But I was lucky, and my doctor was very responsive.
Interesting.
Dang it. Okay, so it cut off. But she told me her story. Her doctor actually allowed, and not allowed, I guess I say allowed, and that's kind of telling of what I'm trying to say here. Her doctor was encouraging of pain medication, getting an IUD. So I got an IUD because I wanted to outlast a Cheeto in the White House. And it was the most painful experience I have ever fucking had.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
It was so bad, you guys.
But second time around,
It was still painful. The getting it taken out wasn't as painful as I thought, but getting it put in was excruciating.
I was there both times.
He was. I forced him to be in the room because it's
I held her
It's
hand.
for him. It's his
Yeah.
birth control too.
You're
Right.
welcome,
You're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
bitch.
Here it is, motherfucker. So he goes in and they do a pap smear, and so he knows what goes into that as well. I highly recommend, actually, if you have a partner who's
Yeah.
willing to go with you to these kinds of exams, take them.
Who is a
I was
penis
like-
owner, bring them.
Yeah.
I was like,
They've
hey,
never
can I
experienced-
do part of that? Can I
Get the fuck out of here. No, but you guys
Poking.
did start talking about fishing when I said, can you trim the wires? And he's like, they're made of fishing line. And Kevin's like, oh, I love to fish. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, what size weight line do you use? He's like, oh, this guy. He's like, you ever go fishing in this area? And I was like, can all of you stop talking about fucking fishing?
God.
Meanwhile,
Jesus
you're on the
Christ.
table, like
Legs spread.
just put it in there.
I'm all
Done.
no.
Done. Rude. So he's been in the room, and I really highly recommend. I mean, if you are someone who's going to have a baby with somebody in the future, that's also
God,
kind of
yeah.
prep for you to go into the room when they are giving birth, is
Yeah.
just to sort of be in there when they have a pap smear, and they're going in because they want to stay healthy for you and for your relationship. And I highly recommend that you do that. IUD has been what I have chosen to use for the last 6 years. Mine is going to be good to go. It will not expire for at least 6 years, which I'm stoked about.
Nice.
Fingers crossed. When we come back, we are going to hear from more listeners like yourself. We are also going to talk to Erin about birth
Erin.
control in her life.
I was like, did we introduce her yet?
We
I was
have
like,
not.
okay. She's
Coming back.
She's sitting right next to us.
She is. She's in the flesh.
Hello.
In the absolute flesh. Come on back.
Why don't you get it? Can't you get it? Understand? They're gonna execute the mother to elevate the man. They're gonna propagate the killer, eliminate the youth. They're gonna blind date everyone until you love them too.
Is your bedroom getting boring? Does your sex life feel stale? Or are you just looking for a fun date night activity? Aria has got you covered. Aria's carefully cultivated, choose your own adventure box is like no subscription service you have ever encountered. You and your partner fill out a sexy questionnaire to help the intimacy experts tailor your boxes to your comfortability, range of sexual likes and dislikes, and create specialized scenes for both of you to enjoy. Each box is hand curated with high quality items to enhance your sexy scene and includes Spotify playlists, provides ideas for starting the scene, and encourages you to have boundaries, safe words, and aftercare. And throughout the process, your personal concierge will text you, email you, and get you excited for your sexy night in. Whether you're looking to increase your kink or just become closer to your partner, Aria has a scene for you. Visit aria.fyi.com and use our code WYP15 at checkout for 15% off your first 3 months and try on a new side of your sensual self. That's WYP15. Aria, your playful mentor for all things sexy.
Would you come with me to get an IUD? Maybe if you come with me, I will let you come in me. 'Cause baby, you're so baby, but I don't want your baby. Baby, you're so baby, but I don't want your baby.
Welcome back, fellow humans. I hate to take you away from that.
That's such a rad song.
Part of the reason why I love doing this is getting to find songs
I
like
know,
that. Because I was
yeah.
literally just looking up IUD on Spotify to try and find a song to fit this.
Who's that
It's
by?
crazy.
Who's
That is IUD by OK Kaya.
Okay, Kaya. Thank you, Kaya. Okay, Kaya. What a banger, right? Let's talk about it.
So perfect.
Beautiful. All right, I'm going to play you a message from a WIP listener. Chris, he said I could use his name, and he's going to talk to us about getting his vasectomy. I haven't listened to this one.
Hi, Ashley. I was talking about my vasectomy. It was a few years back now, but as I recall, it was just a straight decision to stop having kids, and it seemed like the simplest way to do it. I remember we had 2 boys, and my wife wanted to keep trying for a girl, and I just talked her out of it and decided to get the vasectomy. I do remember I had pretty cruddy health insurance, and I wasn't going to meet the deductible there, so I was trying to find a doctor that would take a cash deal.
Okay.
Which sounds weird, don't you? But I did find a guy who gave me, I think it was like $500 for this vasectomy. Urologist.
He's
maybe
under the table.
I'll do $500 for the vasectomy.
It was a pretty simple procedure. It's outpatient.
He's
walk
like
in, walk out.
$500. I have to use scissors instead of
I
razor
do
blades, so
remember,
it's gonna hurt a
maybe
little
you
more.
didn't wait long enough for the anesthetic. There's a little shot on both sides of your scrotum, and it did hurt quite a bit at first. And then he
Needle to the
off, and
scrotum.
I didn't really feel anything.
I'm getting
after
faint.
that.
I'm such a puss.
The recovery was minimal. Just take it easy for a few days and avoid sex for a week or 2.
Sad.
There was some bruising. I was sore for a couple of days, but it's pretty basic. I would do it again. The only kind of odd thing was bringing back a sample of my semen,
yeah,
so
that's
we could
right.
check it
No,
out
that's
and make
not
sure
good.
I was sterile.
Yeah.
Right. To test to make sure it worked.
So you just go. You got to go back and rub one out.
It was he needed
Here's
to
the
be
sample.
a fresh sample, and it was a little too far away to get it up there. I think fresh. I think I might have found a secluded spot in the parking lot.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh,
Cup
yes.
and brought it
Doctor's
into the
orders.
Did they not have a room to go in for that?
No magazine.
kids.
Right?
Yeah, dude.
That's about it.
I'm always thinking of like you
Oh
go
my
into a
gosh.
room and they're like, here's some porn, here's some magazines.
Cop
Right.
taps on your window, sir. It's like, no, my doctor ordered this. I swear.
I swear, don't take me to fucking jail.
My doctor said it was my doctor. I have another one actually that I wanted to play you from our good friend Allie, actually, who was in the room when her husband got a vasectomy.
Yeah, you'd have to be in the room.
So this was something that my boyfriend at the time had actually expressed that he had always wanted to do, and he had known he had wanted to do it, but had just never really taken the next steps. And well, I'm a woman of action, and so when we were seeing each other, I was like, why don't we take those steps? Let's see what's involved. And we figured it all out together, and I was able to join him in the room for the vasectomy. And I got to tell you, you have never seen a happier face in your entire life. He was so excited and so thrilled.
Dude, I need to fucking
And
talk to
it
him.
just literally lit from within my photos of him from that moment.
Because some guys are like, I hated it. It wasn't great.
radiating.
This guy's
And
like,
it was,
hell yeah.
Yeah, it was really beautiful and intimate to be able to be involved in that moment with him.
Okay.
The experience, from what I recall, and I don't want to speak for him, but I do remember him saying it was a little bit more painful, and the recovery lasted a little bit longer than he was expecting, but he was so happy about it, and it ended up being the first my first primary partnership that I got to experience barrier-free connection in, and we had very explicit relationship agreements around that. But it was just such an
makes
incredible
sense.
process to be a part of. I'm grateful that he was comfortable, inviting me into that part of his journey. And as far as I know, he's still pretty happy about it. We are no longer together, but
Snip, snip.
again, just very humbled to have been a part of it.
Amazing.
I thought she was going to say explicit sex.
That's why I thought that was cool.
So, just a couple stories from two different perspectives about people who went a non-hormonal route with a type of sterilization known as a vasectomy, where you cut the vas deferens. We talked about it in the first of the Afternoon Delights. Erin, tell us about your birth control journey.
Yes,
Erin's
welcome,
joining
welcome.
us. She was in an episode about using a stripper pole, right? As
She's been here before.
A form of meditation, a form of inner peace, a form of holistic work, a form of exercise and competition. So we had it.
And you're still going strong, yeah?
Yeah, if you haven't listened to that episode, go listen.
Yeah.
But
Go
since
listen.
then,
And since
Yeah.
you did
You
a
competed.
competition.
Oh, yeah.
I have competed.
Yeah.
You asked me
Yeah.
in that podcast.
I did.
And you were like, are you ever going to consider it?
Hello?
And I
Yeah.
think that was the moment where I was like, yep, I'm signing up actually.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact, let's fucking
And
go.
she did fucking amazing.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So we're happy to have you. Your perspective is extremely interesting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your beginnings with birth control and then tell us where you're at with it now?
Yeah, I'm realizing from everyone sharing that my experience is very similar. I thought I was very young getting on it, and the fact that I wasn't sexually active when I started it was a different experience, and I'm realizing it's actually super common just
Yeah.
from hearing everyone else.
Yeah.
So I was 15 when I got on it. My sister and I both had really bad periods to the point of like losing consciousness.
God.
So like I passed out in the bathroom at
Jesus.
school
Shit.
from
Erin.
blood loss and like being
Where's
anemic.
the sad trombone?
So yeah.
God.
So it was pretty severe, and I knew like something had to be done about that. So it was very experimental, getting on several different kinds. I think I tried 7 until there was one that worked.
Wow.
Damn.
Like different
7 pills.
Okay.
Yes, estrogen and progesterone pills.
Sure.
However, I had quite a few concussions in high school, and I had to make the decision to switch to just a progesterone only option. So it would
Shit.
decrease the risk of stroke
Yeah.
from getting migraines with visual aura.
Concussions from sports.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And just things in life. So I had quite a few. I was starting to get those migraines. We had to reevaluate with my OBGYN. I did not know that progesterone only pills are much less effective than
Oh.
estrogen and progesterone. And I was starting to be sexually active at the time. So I didn't get that rundown.
I didn't know that. Shit.
It's not by a lot.
Yeah.
It's,
But yeah.
it's
Yeah.
enough to make you go,
Oh,
but
interesting.
also the side effects for some are fewer.
Yeah.
The mini pill is what they call it. It's the mini pill. If
Okay.
you've been on that.
Damn, and you said 7.
It's also the one that you
7
can
different
get.
ones.
Different ones.
Fuck.
So before the Cheeto got to the office, the FDA approved a over-the-counter birth control that you can get like Tylenol.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
And it is mini pill. It's progesterone only. Yep.
Oh.
And
Is
you
that how
can-
they got it FDA approved? Interesting.
And
okay.
you go and you get this over-the-counter birth control. You don't need a prescription which is fantastic.
So what? Okay.
'Cause for
maybe
almost
that's a different.
So for all hormonal birth control, you need a prescription.
Yeah.
Except this
Mini pill.
this new mini pill that's been
Interesting.
FDA approved for over the counter.
Clinical research.
So you went through 7 and then started having concussions,
Yep.
Oh.
and then you had to change it again because of those.
Yep. Then I was on progesterone only, was sexually active, and then changed it again. And it said, I lied. And I said, I don't have concussions anymore to get back on an estrogen, or I don't have migraines anymore from the concussions to get back on an estrogen one to
Because
be more
that was
safe.
what helped.
Yeah.
So I went back on that, was on it for several more years, and was having very frequent headaches to the point where I convinced myself that I was going to have a stroke.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just
went and
felt
got
like
an-
Damn.
you
impending
remember?
doom.
I went and got an MRI after I had migraines over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
So
And I convinced my doctors to let me get an MRI.
so you guys have kind of similar stories in
Yeah.
that where you guys
I
had
was
such
sure. I was
bad
sure
headache.
I had a brain tumor.
I was
was
sure
sure.
an event was going to happen.
Yeah.
The way that
Damn.
they were so frequent.
Yeah.
And at that point, this was around like last year, a year and a half ago. I no longer have sex with men. So I was like,
So you're
Well,
like, well,
So the problem has been eliminated.
not that that's not why I got on it. But it definitely is why I switched to the estrogen one. And that's what was causing the headache. So I realized
Men were causing the headache.
exactly.
Fucking fault.
God
So
damn you.
I evaluated. I said, "Hey, I haven't had a period. I took it continuously, the pills, since I was 15. What if it's a different circumstance now, and I'm not having to deal with using it as birth control or for those symptoms?" So I got off it. I promised myself I would try 6 months off of it.
How you feeling?
I'm 1 year out now, and I feel pretty great, honestly.
Oh, shit.
I want to play this listener, and then I want to come back to what you just said.
Yeah, because I
actually
think that's
I
really-
have two listeners that I want to play, and then I want to come back to what you said. So the first listener, I haven't listened to this message. It's Kevin's sister.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Kevin's sister.
Hi, Sissy.
Hey.
Hi there. My name is Sherry, and I'm the sister-in-law of this incredible podcast host.
Oh.
I'm here to tell my story about birth
What about your
control.
wonderful brother?
And I have been, or I should say, I was on
Your
birth
family
control
loves me
pills,
more than you.
No, that's true.
for about 3 decades. I started on them when I was 15.
Yeah.
I started because I had become sexually active, and I had a very wise mother who asked me if that was something that I wanted to do, and being terrified of getting pregnant, the answer was absolutely yes.
Yeah.
I knew then I didn't want kids, so being on them for as much time as I was made sense for me. I've never had any side effects, never had any problems from it. And in fact, when I would ask various doctors, should I take a break from them? Because, the normal thinking is, oh, God, you need to take a break. Every single one of them said, no, I don't want to have children. And in fact, the interruption of the hormones would probably be worse for me than just continuing on. So then as I approached 50, my doctor would say, well, you're getting close. We're going to have to think about taking you off.
She's talking about
And
menopause.
she said that for about 7 years. So here we are. I am now, how old am I? I'm 52. And last year she finally said, okay, this is the year. We need to stop. I asked her what the difference was between birth control pills and HRT. And she said, really nothing. Birth control pills
Hormone
elevate
replacement
your
therapy.
hormones and keep them there. HRT works with what your body's doing to get them to similar levels. But the HRT is the preference once you are of a certain age. So the point of me stopping at the end of last year was to find out where I'm at in terms of perimenopause versus menopause.
Yeah.
One thing that we found, I have not had a period since 1998, and still have not had a period since 1998.
We'll pause that.
After doing an ultrasound a few years ago, I had early onset ovarian failure, and most likely wouldn't have had kids even if I wanted them.
Shit.
So that is
Did not know that.
that's my story. My purpose for birth control pill had always been I didn't want kids. And then it just never really made sense to go off of them until now. So I guess the next chapter of this conversation will be, what the heck do my blood tests show when I have successfully been off of them for 6 months? At this point, I think I just hit month 4.
That's fair.
Oh, wow.
So I will send you an update then.
Okay.
So
Thanks
amazing.
so much for hearing my story. I'll talk to you soon.
That's great. She didn't even know that she had stopped her period because I mean, you're just continuously
Damn.
taking it. How would you know?
I always
Right.
wondered, like, if I did that my whole life, when would I stop taking them?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
do you just
Especially if you never
Well,
wanted kids. Like,
And you remember Shama,
Yeah,
Dr. Shama.
Dr. Shama.
We
Love
talked
her.
about that.
I
Yeah.
miss her.
Great.
Oh, I miss her so much.
And she said something like, if you're getting to menopause, you had it for that long, you might as well just stay on it because it's going
Yeah.
to stabilize your hormone. So I think my sister said you go to HRT, which is
Hormone replacement therapy.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm
that's what my mom
assuming,
does.
Yeah.
so I'm assuming that's what you would do when you get to menopause age,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Just so you keep. So I mean,
Because she had a
'Cause right now
hysterectomy,
it's
so-
mine's releasing progesterone and estrogen.
and yeah, she said basically when you get to that age, you might as well not come off of it.
Right.
Because it's going to keep your
Just
hormones.
carry you in there and help you not be crazy.
Right.
Let's listen to Lindsay.
Hi, my name is Lindsay. My experience with birth control really started at about 18 years old, around the time I became sexually active. With being mindful and careful about STDs, STIs, I also did not want to have a child. So I attempted to get onto a kind of popular, I think it was either Yaz or another type of birth control pill. That was essentially how it started, but I've always been a taller and plus size woman, so my blood pressure in my body didn't really like me being consistently on that medication. I think I've tried maybe 2 or 3 different ones, one that had estrogen, and I think two that had estrogen and one that did not. My body responded pretty well to the one that was just progesterone only, all pills only, instead of like the long-term implants or like the Depo, where it's a higher quantity or potency of like the hormone you're getting or the medication. I was on the mini pill or like the non-estrogen birth control pill for a couple of years, and I have not had a child, meaning I kind of was successful, but in the long run, I am very mindful of watching lab work, definitely a lot of follow-ups with the doctor to make sure, even though I am taking the medication and it's really doing what I want it to do, purpose-wise, that I'm still okay in the end, watching certain levels, making sure my body doesn't really metabolize the medication in a weird way or adverse way. But that's generally my relationship with birth control right now. I'm now in my 30s, so I've had birth control that I've used since I was 18. There has not been a year that I haven't been on one form of a birth control pill, no matter the type. But I would say it's pretty positive. From what I understand, I don't have none of the major reported side effects, physical or psychological, besides the things that are kind of common, like having more PMS type symptoms or having cramps or having a back hurt or an ache or tender breasts or anything like that. But that's my experience.
Yeah. So same, right? Like I do this not to, I want you to hear this. These are your people. These are human beings who are ranging in age, from their early 20s all the way into their 50s.
So just a little recap. I don't know if you're going to do this, but like common side effects, like spotting, heavy
sometimes
flow.
Being on birth control can make your period more irregular.
Right.
So if you're trying to get on birth control to make your period regular, which is my original reason for getting on birth control, getting on a birth control like the pill is more in your favor.
Right.
But if you're getting on birth control to not get pregnant, something like the IUD would be the most effective for you. So the reason for getting on the birth control really does kind of matter which direction you go in.
And then you have the possibility of migraines, bad headaches,
stroke,
increases.
Cramps.
And if you're a smoker too, being on an oral medication is not good for you.
Being over a 35 BMI and being a smoker are 2 reasons that you would not be prescribed an oral birth control.
Right.
And someone may try to talk you into, a copper IUD, which is non-hormonal. But there are many reasons for people to be on many different types of birth control.
I had a really good friend who had similar pain issues as you guys. Like she was throwing up every time she had cramps. Like, they were so painful she couldn't get through the day. So she switched to an implant, and she has the next one on now too. And she's like, haven't had a period, never have,
and everyone's different.
Totally.
It's crazy how people prefer different methods.
It's so
I think
varied.
every single the next person is going to tell you another thing that's different. It's everyone's different. It's crazy.
Hello, my name is Lauren, a longtime listener, huge fan of the show, huge.
Thank you.
Share a little bit about my experience with birth control, my story. So I became sexually active at the age of 14, and I was put on birth control. It was the pill. I don't know which one it was, but I took that for a few years. And it made me really ragey, really moody, but obviously it did its job. And then I think when I was 18, I switched over to the depot shot. The depot shot was terrible. It made me gain a bunch of weight. My mood swings were out of control. And then I switched over to the IUD. I think I was 21. And then that was really painful. So I went back to the pill. Anyways, fast forward to when I was ready to start a family at 31. It was March 2024, and I got off of the pill. I was on the pill, got off of the pill, and we started trying for a baby, and literally, like, got pregnant the first time we tried. And
Nice.
I found out I was pregnant in April of 2024. Now I am, tomorrow will be 5 weeks postpartum.
Yay.
And
Oh my gosh.
thinking about birth control, if I want to go back on it, what my options are. I'm thinking of maybe going on Nexplanon, the arm implant.
Oh, hey.
Chipped up.
There you go.
On the fence. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm not completely against birth control, but I know the side effects, like, on a woman's body can be very rough, especially, like, the mental and emotional aspect of it.
So Lauren has an episode. Again, these are all like past people. So go back and listen to actually the most downloaded episode of What's Your Position of All Time, which is
Wild.
It's crazy. It's bisexuals and books.
Nice.
That's what it's called. It's so
That's
good.
a great title.
It's
That is a good one.
absolutely fantastic.
By the way, all of the names that you ever hear of all the episodes, that's all Ashley.
I know. I
She-
usually either get stoned or mildly buzzed and then come up with the episode titles.
Nice.
And it's usually a lie.
I think that deserves a five because they're really fucking funny.
Thank you.
If you
Good
look
shit,
through them,
Ash.
that's all her.
That's actually a fun little factoid that not many people know, but I come up with the titles all by myself. It's usually a line that someone says on the show, so we'll see what the fuck it'll be this time. Aaron, when you decided I'm no longer going to be on birth control, even though you weren't engaging in a sexual activity that would preclude a baby, right? So no sex with semen.
That sounded really fucking
Sounds
funny.
so good.
No sex with semen.
Weren't you worried about your period?
Oh, yeah. That was the main concern.
Right.
Okay. So I'm concerned for you.
But I had to consider, was this just being 15 and having different hormones? Like, have they balanced out?
Okay.
I assessed, like, I'm in my early 20s now, early mid 20s. So I was thinking maybe things have changed. I just wanted to give it a shot. I promised 6 months, I'll get off of it. If I hate it, I'll get back on, but I have to give it 6 months to balance out. I hit the 6 month mark and didn't really have a desire to get back on it. So I'm 1 year out. I will say, I miss not having a period. It is definitely something that changes your life. You have to plan your life around this.
Okay.
Bringing like tampon. I never carry tampons or pads anymore. Maybe a couple in case friends needed them. But it was something that I had to completely readjust to this lifestyle of dealing with that, planning with it. I definitely still have heavier periods than other people that I know. But I think it's more regular and more manageable for me. And because of the adverse health effects that going on the pill had for me, I just didn't see it as beneficial.
Any headaches?
Right.
A lot better now. Much better. I don't feel like that impending doom that I'm going to have a stroke.
Yeah. And we've had friends that, unfortunately, none of these stories we've heard tonight, but friends that said they'd gotten off the pill and their sex drive goes through the roof.
That's so true.
So yeah, I actually have somebody who sent me in a message that said they couldn't record, but when they took birth control, their sex life absolutely tanked. There was another person though who said kind of what you're saying, where it was like, I got off birth control and actually physically felt better.
Right.
And that could just be with age or with the changing of hormones or whatnot, but they felt better coming off of and being off of birth control.
So I think it's probably like a balance of certain
But it's also
pros, cons.
There is
subjective.
definitely. And
Right.
it's up to you what you think the pros are that
Right.
outweigh
And if you can tell about tonight, everybody, all the stories, it's so varied.
Oh yeah.
There's definitely commonalities, but it's like
Age
it's
is
all
a big common.
right.
Yeah.
I see.
And it's
Yeah.
all just one of those things where you have to go on your own journey.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people start with a pill too. It's like easy,
Right?
Too.
Yeah. This one's real fast. Amy is someone we had on talking about having breast augmentation and a tummy tuck surgery, and talking about body modifications and the positives and negatives of that. So she is chiming in here.
I have been on and off birth control for about 20 years. Originally got on it just for, like everybody else, in their late teens to avoid pregnancy. And then later in life got back on it to help regulate periods because of a benign growth on my uterus, which has now been removed. It is nice knowing when you're going to start, when you're going to stop. I know that it has been known to cause high blood pressure and things like that, but I've never experienced any of these issues. I've only had positive experiences with it, and it's helped me in a lot of parts of my life.
And interesting that she mentioned high blood pressure. It's actually not a symptom of using birth control for the majority of people. It was a small number of people, and those people could have already had a propensity for high blood pressure.
Because you guys know in your line of work that if one or two people experience those side effects, they have to be...
It's crazy.
That's why we go through
Interesting.
such a rigorous screening process before you're even admitted into a study, is because we want to eliminate any potential issues that you could have on that medication. So if you are predisposed to having hypertension, high blood pressure, and we put you onto a medication and your blood pressure gets even higher,
we have to say
that
it's
is now
the
a side
medication's
effect.
fault.
It's like you hear those side effects and you're like, heart
That's why there's
attack,
so
high blood
many.
pressure, anal bleeding, and you're like, wait, what?
Rewind.
Farting rainbow.
How often does that fucking happen?
Yeah.
Because that's...
leakage.
Because people are like, heart attack, fuck it. High blood pressure, fuck it. But anal bleeding, that's where I draw the line.
Funny that you mentioned that. A lot of male birth control has been halted in phase 1 because the side effects are things like moodiness, acne. When I totally forgot to mention, when I got on my IUD for the first time, I had 3 years of cystic acne.
Oh my God,
my
you're
acne
right.
has definitely
Never
been
had
worse.
acne in my
So
life.
it's so funny though,
definitely.
because I never notice any of your acne, and if it is, it's like people don't know me, but listeners except for friends, but I have fucking terrible acne. It wasn't until I turned 40 when it started to chill out, even though now but I had really bad cystic acne.
You did. Yeah.
like fucking bad.
I never had acne, really bad. And then I definitely noticed after getting on the Nexplanon that I've had way more acne than I've had since I started fucking getting hormones. Started fucking.
Yeah. That part too.
Crazy. Since I hit puberty.
Since I hit puberty.
It's kind of wild.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take away from your...
No, I was just saying.
Acne. I was just like,
it was
you
a
have acne.
weird fucking side effect that
Because it's your hormones.
didn't see coming.
They control everything.
I just wanted to mention, when I went to the doctor, I probably went to like 10 different dermatologists throughout my life, and like please doctor, help, like I can't get this cystic acne to go away. And I went to one when I was like 35, and she's like, yeah, no, you're just gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah.
She's like, and I'm like, oh, what? And she's all,
Yeah.
you just it's hormone, you're just gonna have to deal with it.
Just wait a couple years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It'll go.
And I was like, cool, okay.
So I've spent money on this my whole life for one doctor to finally tell me 4 years before
You're
it stops.
fucked.
Move
Just
on,
deal with
dude.
it. Just let it go. Chill out, man. All right, so I didn't listen to this. I listened to part of this one. It's long. I love you so much.
But then I also made me really nervous because even though the chance getting a urologist, and I asked for one, and we talked about it, and then she put one in, and I went with my two best friends, and they held my hands because that was some of the worst pain I think I've ever felt in my entire life.
Damn.
Yeah, no, I have a really high pain tolerance, but that was awful. I had the Mirena the first time, and the cons were that I bled for like 6 months post, and I cramped for pretty hard for about 2 weeks.
Damn.
And then the actual pain of putting it in was awful.
And no numbing.
No.
I don't know. I kind of qualified as a pro and a con, but I didn't get my period, which was nice, but then I also made me really nervous because even though the chances of getting pregnant with an IUD are basically slim to none, I always would get kind of worried, and so I would still take pregnancy tests or like always have like some anxiety about, because you know, doomsday was thinking the worst case scenario, thinking that I had like an ectopic pregnancy. Yeah, no. And so I actually ended up having to get my IUD taken out when I was about 19 because I was having some really bad back pain, and I thought it was associated.
Oh, she did that really early. I didn't hear that part.
Even though everybody was like, "There's no way that's possible." Every doctor was just like, "Take some Advil," and I'm like, "You're not understanding how much pain I'm in."
Can you guys relate?
So I got
Women's symptoms being downplayed at a doctor's office?
Disregard.
Never heard of that.
Right?
Wow.
barely felt a thing. After that, I went to the pill. I got the low estrogen pill, and I liked that one a lot.
So it's interesting, you know, the amount of different types of birth control people have tried.
Yeah.
The common story of getting on it when you were 14, 15 years old. The common story of getting on it for something other than sexual necessity. The common story of having pain that's dismissed.
Right.
Whether it be because you're getting an IUD inserted. I insisted that the pain was bad, and she said, well, it's just because you haven't had children.
Yeah, I remember that.
If you had had children, it wouldn't have hurt as bad. So I was like shamed
Like in
for
comparison.
not having kids. I guess. Like in comparison.
And wait, the second time you got it, they put local, right?
No.
No, he didn't.
No. I was just prepared. The common story of somebody having like birth control and having some pretty severe side effects that we just kind of write off. So thoughts, anyone?
Birth control is great, but like do your research and
Yeah.
understand that you're not going to find the best one the first time necessarily.
Right.
I mean, you definitely could. I loved my first birth control. Honestly, I wish that I was still on that one. I had that shit down like clockwork. I knew exactly when I was going to start bleeding if I wanted to skip my pack or whatever.
That's a great point.
This one?
to write
Yeah.
law like a blog, not blog.
No,
but
I like recently was doing some research to find out like what the kind of birth control I specifically was on before, and I did find some stuff about it. But like being on the next ones, it's been good now, like a year out. The friends that I had talked to that have it, all I heard good experiences from them. They all love it currently, which is part of the reason why I got on this instead of an IUD, is because I'd heard really good things about it. But like, you know, just know that because somebody says like this is amazing,
It's
this
the
is
best,
great, it
doesn't
might
mean-
not work for you, and like vice versa. Like it's important to give it a shot, give it a solid try, and if it doesn't work, switch. Don't feel like you have to stay on that one. Like
Right.
there are so many different kinds for you to try.
Yeah.
And there are so many options out there for you.
Hormonal and non-hormonal.
Totally.
I mean, yeah, we have another vasectomy story. It's long, so I'm going to try to edit it as best I can. I love you. Thank you so much for submitting this, but I am going to edit you.
Hello, my name is Brenton, and I'd love to tell you about my recent experience in getting a vasectomy. So first, we'll talk about what led to the decision to get a vasectomy. My wife and I have had 2 children. One is currently about 2.5, and the other one is about 6 months. So we determined that after having 2 kids that we were done, and a lot of that was just a long-term discussion of family planning on our parts.
I want to just stop right here because there's another human being who sent in a vasectomy story, but he didn't do it in a audio clip because he was just like, I don't want to do that. So he also had already had 2 children, and the decision was made in his family that the best course of action, because they were done having children, was for him to get a vasectomy. If you heard in pretty much 99% of the audio clips and our stories that we played of our own selves, every single person was like, I didn't want to have a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to get pregnant. I don't want to get pregnant. I didn't want to. Some of them said, when I was ready to start a family, when I was ready to start a family,
emotionally, financially,
mentally, with the right person.
Yeah.
Most of these people started birth control at the age of 15. Hello, that's time of sexually active in this country. The men all say, when my family decided to stop having children, I decided to get a vasectomy, with the exception of one person, the woman who gave us the voicemail that said, I went with my significant other because he had always wanted to get this done because he didn't want children. Everyone else said, I did it because my family had decided to be done. None of the doctors asked this person, are your future wives going to be okay with this?
Right.
Okay. So we're going to continue this, but I'm going to skip forward just a little bit because I actually know. Hold on.
Normally do not or anesthetic ahead of time. It's just so much more helpful going into it with good expectations. So getting into the process of the actual vasectomy, what they tell you to prep for is no ejaculating for 2 days prior. Again, that varies a little bit by practice. Some say 1 day, some say 3 days, but roughly around 2 days prior, no ejaculating. I did not fill that prescription for Valium, so I was able to drive myself. If I did
he got
take
Valium
for that
ahead of time.
Where is this? I'll get it if I get Valium.
Ahead of
My wife
time.
stayed home with the girls,
Yeah.
so she did not come with me.
Oh.
I went by myself. I did not feel any anxiety from that either. I also knew going into it that the procedure itself was not going to be very long. I think he advertises like 10 minutes for the total procedure.
Snip, snip.
Right.
I didn't.
So once I checked in, I asked for the numbing cream, and I applied that all over my scrotum so that
Numbing cream?
when they do put in the local anesthetic, it's not as painful.
Wait, he gets cream for the anesthetic?
Wait. He gets the cream, then the anesthetic, and he gets Valium?
There are multiple levels of pain.
Wait, did he say he got Valium before the procedure?
Yes.
Valium before,
Dude.
numbing
A
cream.
Valium prescription that you can fill beforehand to take before you get to the doctor's office.
Right.
All right, I'm down.
You get
I will get a
cream.
a
vasectomy
numbing
if I get
cream
that.
for the needle.
For the needle that's going to numb you.
That they're gonna numb you before
It's
they
like
do the procedure.
it's like when you go to the dentist and
3
they
levels.
Yeah, okay, I'll get it then.
Oh my god!
And it took 10 minutes?
And they told everyone I know who got an IUD, take an Advil 30 minutes before.
Take an Advil.
Damn, bro.
Oh,
Worst. We have heard from people who have gotten an IUD, and we have all said it's the worst pain I've ever experienced.
yeah,
I've not
which is
one
part of the
person-
reason why I don't want to get one.
Right. I love it though. I love my IUD. It's
The
I love it so
Nexplanon,
much.
I did get numbed for the Nexplanon.
I did not.
They
my
put,
cervix was.
They
a
stabbed your
toxic-
arm basically.
They didn't rub. Sorry, sidetrack really quick.
No, I don't care.
For numbing,
go ahead.
since we're talking about that, they put this big. It was actually a pretty chunky needle that they put the put the pain meds in, and it's underneath my arm on.
Like your tricep.
My tricep, yeah. Like right a couple inches, like 2 inches above my elbow. They put he kind of like was rough with the needle. Honestly, he was like really shoving it up in there.
Needle
but
daddy.
What he was doing was making basically like a tube for the chops.
Aluminum
like a
tubes.
piercing.
Yeah, like a tube for the matchstick to go into. So he was they did that with the numbingness, and he kind of like was like
Dude,
jabbing it around in there to make it
for real, I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
Kevin's gonna pass out.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh.
Brenton, continue.
With a needle put in a very long skinny needle.
Oh,
put in
sorry,
some,
babe.
some local
Take your
anesthetic,
headphones off.
and that was probably
Where's the
most
Valium?
anxiety driving part for me.
Just don't look.
Yeah,
Close
bro.
your
I'm the type that wants to watch and wants to see what's happening.
too.
So when I get
Same.
my blood drawn or
Yeah, I usually
Yeah,
look.
dude.
something is happening to my body, I actually need to see it happening because I like to expect when the pain is going
Totally
to
agree.
I hear this. I hear
and
this.
I don't
Interesting.
like to be surprised.
Snapping.
So I really liked watching. So I watched him put the local anesthetic in. It did feel like some small pinches, but the needle was so small that it really wasn't a big deal. The fluid going in was a little bit cold, but not a big deal. I mean, for anybody that's gotten a local anesthetic from a dentist, it's much the same, except you're getting it in your balls.
Oh, I can
not in your
feel
mouth.
it. Okay.
I heard it.
It's much the same except for you getting it in your
getting your
balls.
balls.
To watch, I mean, I'm sure that I could have listened to music. I probably could have watched.
That's actually not a bad
something
idea.
on my phone
I've
to
never been
distract
asked if I
myself,
wanted-
But
No,
the
but
room was
like-
quiet.
Dude, what
in
about
your
when you
own
go to the
headphones.
dentist? Don't you listen to music?
Was
Yes, but
just
not at the
really
gynecologist.
immersed in the whole process. So there was nothing else, no other distractions for me. My doctor used a no scalpel approach, so he used a pointed clamp, I believe is what the term is.
Dude,
to
I'm gonna-
open
this
up
is
the
a way-
scrotum. It was not a scalpel. I mean, he just opened it right up just by pushing the pointed clamp in and opening
Damn.
it.
What?
And he found the vas deferens, pulled it out. snipped it, used a little cauterizing pen, which looks like it was battery powered.
Yeah.
I'm taking this to my doctor and saying
Unique
this
thing
is
that
what I
he
want.
said that he did was he replaced the vas deferens inside with a little piece of the spermatic fascia in between. It's just the spermatic fascia is just a layer.
It's great detail.
A layer of muscle.
Yeah.
That's
Great
inside your
detail.
scrotum.
I know. Huh.
And he put that in between the vas, so
Oh,
Wow.
He knew what was going on.
That's
Terms
so
and everything.
interesting.
The fact that he remembered all that so, and so vividly is crazy to me.
I mean, like, and what a great experience. Like, and then he also
Wow.
told me that he went back to work the same day. He just said that he needed to wait 2 weeks.
I'm going to listen to
have
that.
sex.
I'm going to write it all down. I'm going to look it up
Yeah.
on Google, and I'm going to go into Kaiser and be like,
I want this done. Thanks.
that's what's going on.
I'll take one of those, sir.
I'll take one of those.
I'll take one of those.
One for me, please. Damn. 3 forms of numbing?
But, I mean, you think about it, though. I mean, think about
I will take a sex.
the other guy that he said he did, it was $500. And
$500. Oh, that's right. And also,
different, a little bit of a different.
Brenton wanted me to tell you that his out the door was $275.
Oh, shit.
The one that we just listened to?
Yeah, the one we just listened to.
Wow.
Dang.
And that's with
That's
insurance,
cheaper
I'm
than the
assuming.
last tattoo I got.
I know. His insurance covered 80% of that.
What?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
See, this is wild.
Yeah.
How, okay, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but
Oh,
how long
God.
have like vasectomies been a thing for?
Not long. So
Yeah.
it's not
It's been in our lifetime for sure.
Oh,
like,
yeah, but like
I remember the first time I heard about it, maybe like teens, mid-teens, late teens.
I'm going to look it up.
Look it up, Mia.
Look it up.
I really wanted this to be a conversation around a bar or around a dinner table about you hearing from other human beings who have used different types of birth
I
control.
love this format. I want to do it again.
I know, right? Just chatting, just talking about a thing and hearing from other WY peeps, our friends who we truly appreciate.
Give your guesses. This is the stat of the day, by the way.
1946.
19. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to say like 67.
1989.
You're all wrong. Vasectomy as a method of voluntary birth control began during the Second World War.
Oh, damn.
The first recorded vasectomy was performed on a dog in 1823.
Oh, pups.
And yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So, but that's hilarious that it wasn't until like sometime in our lifetime that they're like, okay, we're going to start doing
I
this.
wonder if it's because like they were going off to war.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's
But,
crazy.
I mean, also,
Don't get anybody pregnant.
vasectomies are also offered by many insurance companies where tubal ligations and IUDs are not. So birth control is such a personal, subjective. I think that's the thing I recognize the most. One is that we put people on birth control at a young age, which I think is wise.
Yeah.
Honestly.
If you're going to be sexually active or if
Right.
you need help with the period symptoms that you're dealing with,
Yeah.
There's a lot of
be on
reasons.
birth
There's some
control.
good reasons.
Really good
we
reasons.
take medication for a lot of other reasons.
Also, we do, and also know that there are certain birth controls that you personally are going to have side effects with. Not you as in everyone else, like just like you. You are going to have your own side effects. You're going to notice symptoms that other people may not. You
Yeah.
may enjoy the mini pill. You may not enjoy the mini pill. You may enjoy the patch. You may love the NuvaRing. You may love a
Right.
copper IUD. You may love a hormonal IUD. You may think that condoms and Lorals are super sexy because it's latex and it's kinky. You may not. And you may want to be fluid bonded with your partners. Just know that there is a story out there that looks like your own. I really just am so appreciative of all of my friends and my family members who sent me audio messages, text messages. Thank you so much for your vulnerability, your honesty, and your willingness to share your story with the WI peeps. That is grassroots. What's your position? That is where we started. And so thank you so much for bringing that full circle for me. What a beautiful episode. I really appreciate us wrapping up that afternoon delight in that way. Final thoughts? Anyone have any last things they want to say?
So important when you get to choose when to get pregnant.
Yes.
Everyone
Yeah.
should be able to choose. I think that's the common
Yes.
denominator.
Yes.
We all should get to choose that experience or
Yeah.
not to not have it at all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or just to feel better.
Yeah. Or just
Yeah.
to not feel like shit.
Just to feel
Yeah.
good. You know?
Just to
and,
feel like I
exist
don't
as
have
a human.
crippling fucking PMS and crazy heavy. Yeah, like it's just nice to be like, no,
it's nice to have autonomy.
Yeah,
it's nice to choose
nice to have autonomy.
to not be in pain. It's nice to choose to not be pregnant, and it's nice to choose to not be a mother. I'm so grateful for that.
Yep.
I really just love these afternoon delights. I hope that you take something from them.
Great. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Erin, for being
coming on.
here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Man.
Round 2.
Right? Check us out at What's Your Position Podcast on Instagram, what'syourpositionpodcast.com. And as always, my loves, stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy.
Hey, Phil. I know you're probably feeling a little bit uncomfortable right now.
Well, of course they are. We are talking about a little knife near their goodie bag.
Oh, but you don't have to worry, because we're going to walk you through this simple procedure, step by step. So hang on. So you don't like getting your junk examined? We can relate. But all you gotta do is take that cup and masturbate. Take your time and enjoy. Then we'll freeze all those future girls and boys. They put a doodle in your noodle, step and twist inside your doll. With some Dr. Magic happens and we can get it on. We can get it on. Do it for all of us. We're being serious. Vasectomy, vasectomy, vasectomy.
What's Your Position podcast represents the opinions of Ashley Weller and her guests. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is intended for education and entertainment purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure the information we are sharing is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of error. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy.